So you might notice something a little bit different. I'm using some filler lights in my room right now because it is very dark outside because we're having like some severe thunderstorms and it's just bonkers. Yeah, I'm just thinking about how my cat just walked in, always. But today I just wanted to do a little Q&A. I like to do Q&As about once every like 50,000 subscribers. It's a nice little milestone and it's really exciting, and thank you guys so much. I actually just got my little YouTube plaque, and so I'm really excited about that. Thank you guys for following along. This is actually the first award or trophy that I've gotten since this one, which was Funniest Bowler, about 2nd grade, so it's been a while and I'm just really excited to have something to put on my wall. One more order of business before I get started with all of the questions. I did a giveaway for a watch just a few videos ago, and I wanted to announce that the winner was Tessa Cooper. I did a random selector and her name came up. This little watch is gonna be hers. I'm really excited to send that out. And thanks to everybody who entered. It was really nice to read everybody's comments as far as what your favorite thing was in September. There were lots of really cool answers if you want to read and get ideas from that video. So I took all the questions and I put them into like categories, and the first category is fashion. And the question that I got asked more than anything else was, where do you get inspiration from for your fashion, and who is your favorite fashion icon? And I would say that where I get inspiration from is always Pinterest. I always am curating my Pinterest boards, trying to make them into something that's very cohesive, and I take out anything that doesn't really match the other pieces, and I really look for inspiration there when it comes to actually shopping. So if I'm looking for what kind of boots do I really need this fall, then I'll look through all the photos that I pinned and I'll figure out if the way that they wore them in the photos works for my outfits in my closet already, which it should, because I've been thinking about that while I'm pinning it. So yeah, that's just kind of how I think about it, and I'll find those missing pieces in my closet. If everyone in those photos is wearing a black pair of boots, then I know that that's something that I need. Or if it's like an ankle boot, that'll be really specific. So I also wrote down, just for my memory, a few people on Instagram that I think are really worth following for their fashion and where I get really inspired. So I'll link all of these down below too in the description, but Orion, Truly Lar, NYC Bambi, and Lizzie Hadfield. I've been following Lizzie for a long time, and it's just really fun to see like how she explains her process of picking out her outfits and everything, and just following along with her everyday life is really fun. You might also notice that there's a little bit of a theme there. I love each one of those people because they have the same color scheme as me. I just really relate to them on that level very deeply. Next, how did you find your style and how long did it take? For those of you who've been following along for a while, I actually did a year of outfits challenge on Instagram. So I feel like back then, like a lot of people weren't doing it to the level that people are today, but it was really fun to be able to just take my photo every single day for 365 days and just evaluate it, like see how my style is changing or what I'd like to change about it. And that's really how I found my personal style. And I figure that you guys can do that even if you didn't want to post it on Instagram. Just take your photo every day, and that just really allows you to figure out and have that honest conversation with yourself every day of what works for you. So yeah, that's definitely how I've found my personal style. I'm always evolving it. It's never that I'm done, but I am content with how my closet is right now for sure. Okay, I had to put my hair up because it was getting in my way and I was like fidgeting with it the whole time. I'm gonna keep going. What has been your biggest takeaway from your year plus of personal style development? I really have my own style. It's not something that I look like everyone else in my town and just, you know, I just buy everything that's in my local mega store. It's really nice to be able to just dress like me, and shopping online has really allowed me to have that ability. It's really nice too when I can just own that when I'm walking around town. I would say that it's even true when I'm shopping for my house. When Zach and I are looking for how we want our apartment to look like and how we're going to change that, it's nice to be able to do that in our own personal style and make really intentional decisions. So yeah, I would definitely say that just being my own person and having my own clothes look just like me has been really the best part about it. Next is, what are important things you pay attention to when purchasing clothing items and accessories? I'm really mindful about how I've curated my closet at this point. So I know the pieces that are missing, and I really want to just identify those based on how it goes with the color scheme of my closet and how it will fit my body and my body type, I think is really important. And then also just the quality of it. I don't really buy anything that's gonna fall apart the next day. So that's definitely how I think about that. What's your best tip for confidence and thoughts about body image? I read a book called The Confidence Gap that was really moving to me. Even in the first few pages, it identified something that was it just hit home, which is how much do you think in your own life confidence, the lack of confidence, has cost you in your life? And to me, that just got me so fired up, and now I'm just determined to have confidence, and I just make a point of it. I think it's something that you choose, and not many people are born with confidence. So yeah, I would just get really mad about how much confidence, the lack of confidence, has cost you in your life, and then go from there. Next, I really want to know what kind of iron you use. So I'll give you guys a link down below for this, but this is the iron that I use. You know, I actually just had replaced it. This is my new one, but the old one that I had was identical, and I just repurchased it because I loved it so much. What happened with the old one is that I hip checked the ironing board and this thing fell off and it cracked, and so it wouldn't like hold the water anymore. So that was a bummer. But yeah, so this one's the Rowenta Focus, and it's really nice because it's heavy. Sorry if I wasn't holding it in camera. It's really heavy, and so that's going to allow it to actually press a lot better than my first iron did. It was very weak. And then it also has just tons of these little vents too, so it steams very well. And yeah, I just really love it. Next, how do you take care of your clothes? A lot of people were asking me for how I take care of certain clothes, and so overall this was a really popular question. I never get things dry cleaned. I don't just throw everything in the wash as soon as I wear it for a short time. I really try to judge if it is dirty, and then when it is, I always wash my clothes in cold water on the gentlest cycle I can, and then I use a really delicate detergent. The Woolite Delicates is really good because I use that for like my wool clothes, and my silks are really good for that. Silks and woolens especially for that, but then I just use a really mild detergent, and then I hang dry everything. So, and I actually do the same thing for cashmere. Instead of hanging though, I would just lay it flat. How is your style before starting your style journey? You know, I think that I ran into the same issues that a lot of other people were when I was trying to start over, and that was that my original closet was very mismatched. I really didn't like to go shopping very much because I would just feel a lot of guilt when it came to like buying clothes for myself. So what I did buy was pretty cheap and nothing matched, and the whole thing was not a real representation of me, nothing I felt confident in, and I never had gone to the tailor before. So all of those things have changed, and now I do invest in my personal style. Do you keep a certain number of items in your wardrobe or adhere to rules? A lot of people think that I have a capsule wardrobe. They ask me questions about how I start a capsule wardrobe, and I really don't have a capsule wardrobe. I think that that's one thing that people are just a little bit confused by, because I like more of minimalist fashion. I like pieces that I can use several times and go well with other pieces in my closet, which is a nod to how other people use a capsule wardrobe. And I guess when I first started over, I started with the most basic wardrobe I could have, and then built from there. So in that way, that could be considered it that for that time I had a capsule wardrobe. But now I just have a small closet, so I work with the amount of space I have. At this point, I just have a curated closet, but I don't keep track of how many pieces I have. I just make sure that I can use the pieces that are in my closet frequently, and that each one, I know that it's there and I know how to incorporate it with the other pieces. What were you like in your teenage years, and what was your style like? This is fun to think about. I guess I was really artsy. I worked at Starbucks when I wasn't doing art or selling art. I really didn't mind being a sage. I think that if I had to choose between like peer pressure and having a mind of my own, I definitely chose having a mind of my own because I'm a 4 on the Enneagram. That might explain a lot, but I'm just okay with being an individualist. When I was a teenager too, like I didn't have a lot of money. I definitely didn't have a lot of good clothes. But one thing that I would definitely use my Starbucks money for while I was just staying with my parents as a teenager is I would go to concerts and I would definitely buy clothes from either the concerts or Fossil. I loved to buy like the weirdest clothes. But yeah, I definitely had my own unique style back then, but it was just kind of like a hodgepodge of weird stuff. One thing too that I did is I would go to like the art district downtown and find the little boutiques, shop the sales racks there. And it always felt really rewarding because some of the pieces were quite outside of my budget and I was able to get them for like 80% off. So I definitely did some of that too, which didn't really help with the whole not having a weird style thing. What decade of fashion are you most inspired by? This whole year I've been really inspired by the 70s. I've been kind of wearing my hair that way a little bit, and it's just fun to have the Farrah Fawcett type of hairstyle, but also I just like it to, you know, have the center part and stuff. That's been fun to play with. And also I think that I still really like the 40s. I like how some things have more like the high-waisted look that I always am drawn to. I do like to wear skirts a lot in the fall, and that's just one more way that I can kind of experiment with like more vintage pieces like that. What are some of your goals in the near future? I definitely would love to start a blog. In January is where I'm thinking it could possibly start. And so I think that that would be a really great opportunity just to like gather a lot of my thoughts. And definitely I would love to hear any blog ideas that you guys are toying around with, that questions you might have, or post content that you'd like to see. I guess I've played around with the idea of a blog for so long, but I really want to make it count when I do. Like I want to have enough time to post and all of that stuff. I also would love to do more vlogs. I don't do any real vlogs right now, and I think that the idea of that is slightly terrifying, but really fun. I think that it would be fun to be able to bring you guys along on a more deep level, and it's something that I think would be really challenging for me in a creative sense. Next, you guys asked me about my relationship a little bit, like how did Zach and I meet? I talked about that in my last Q&A, but another question that I had was what was my wedding dress like? Zach and I got married in college, and so we really just had a few little scraps to put together when it came to our wedding. Everything was free. And so the wedding dress, I got like the cheapest one there, and it was a size that was 6 sizes bigger than what a size I needed it to be, and so it just had to be tailored down, and I made it work. It was a mermaid gown. I really did love my wedding dress. It was really nice because it had like a sweetheart neckline. It had a good amount of embroidery on it. I think that now I would probably have chosen something different, but I did like the way that it had a big train. There were probably about 3 feet of train, and then I didn't want to have any sort of veil. I was going to go sans veil. But then for just kicks, I tried on the longest one and I just fell in love with it. So I ended up getting a veil that was just as long as the end of my train. Okay, you guys had a lot of beauty questions, so let me run through a few of the ones that seem to be the most popular ones. So what is your favorite perfume? I love LeLabo's Rose 31. I've gotten that in a solid perfume and also in some detergent. It's really good from the laundress. I definitely need to restock that. Next, please tell me how you make your tresses look so good. So for my hair care routine, I like to do Brilliant Brunette is what I've been using recently. It just adds a little bit more dimension to my natural hair color. I'm actually thinking about going a shade darker, and so that's allowing me to kind of play with that a little bit. I like to use their shampoo and conditioner and their glaze, and I've been using that for the past few weeks. I've used it in the past and I loved it so much, so I'm just kind of bringing it back. What kind of haircut do you have? Is it layers? I actually just got some layers put in and I left the length alone, and so that's just kind of how I did it. I actually went by the way that a lot of the Cezanne models have their haircut, and I just kind of gave them a photo from the catalog and said, can you cut it to look like this, please? Thank you. I am thinking though that I might cut it up a little bit shorter. If you don't want that, I think you should make your concerns known now. Next, what are some of your go-to nail polish colors? One thing that I always wear is Essie's gel polish, and I love the color Pinned Up. It's number 60, and I've worn that for over a year, almost all the time, and I loved it so much. And I actually got quite a few compliments of it. I give it in little gifts. I swear by it. Okay, so these questions are more personal and they're really fun. So what is your go-to fall beverage? I love to make myself espresso right now. I like to first steam up some almond milk, and then I make the espresso shots. I put that all together, and then I actually use more of the almond milk that I steamed up to make Zach a pumpkin chai every morning. It's like a cute little routine that we always have. I put whipped cream on his, but you know, I like to just have a big layer of foam for mine. Okay, I last Q&A talked about potentially doing budget tips, like a video on that. I probably won't do a dedicated video to that, but real briefly, I love Dave Ramsey's program. That's really been really helpful for me and Zach on figuring out a budget. We decide on a budget that we're gonna stick to at the beginning of every month, and then we tweak it by the end of the month and reorganize what we're gonna need the next month. So we do that on a monthly basis, and that's been super helpful. I think that if you are like someone who's in a relationship, it's really important to be able to be kind of steering your boat the same way. Otherwise, you're just gonna go in circles. And so it's really good to be just having goals in mind. I think that it's really rewarding when Zach and I have like a goal that we have and we're like pushing toward that. It feels like you're unstoppable if you both have the same goal. So as far as tools go, I use the Numbers app on my Mac, and then I like take that information and I put it into mint.com. I've used mint.com for several years, which is nice because I can look at trends of how we spent like in certain budgets and stuff throughout time, and you know how our finances have looked over time. So that's really helpful to have that sort of information. What kind of music do you love? Oh my gosh, I listen to music all day. I love to listen to a lot of like older stuff like Nat King Cole. I love Elvis. I love Ella Fitzgerald. I love all of those types of things. But as far as like when I work out, I actually don't like to listen to newer music. I like to listen to like jukebox playlists on Spotify. That just kind of gives me those happy days moments. My mom and I used to listen to that stuff all the time when I was growing up, and so it's just kind of nostalgic for me. This is one way that Zach and I are completely different because he doesn't really listen to a lot of music. He listens to sports radio and podcasts. And I always try to tell him to put his headphones on because I don't want to hear it. And the sound, like the microphones on those things are pretty awful. How do you keep your cat from ruining plants? Okay, you guys might have seen earlier, he loves to just walk through here at any given moment that I'm taping. And I do like to have a lot of plants in my house. It's something that gives me a lot of joy. Well, the thing is that our cat never ever touches our plants at all. Only one, which is a very grassy one. He only likes the ones that resemble grass. And so I only keep that one up tall, up away from where he can reach, and he can't reach the counters because he's been trained to not go on the counters. When he was a kitten, we laid down the law. We told him places that he wasn't allowed to go, and now all we have to say is no, and like he's very obedient. He's actually quite meek. He's a very shy cat, so he gets his feelings hurt a lot basically, and so he's okay if, you know, we tell him no, then he just stops. So I'm really thankful for that. Someone also asked what's his name. His name is Fitzwilliam. He's got like 9 names. I won't bother with that. Do you like to travel or relax at home? I think after a long trip, I'm so ready to just be in my own bed, kind of make my house a home again, and I love that feeling, but I do love to travel. There's plenty of places that I still would love to see. Zach and I haven't done a lot of traveling in our marriage just because we've been very constantly like working and business minded, and just we're very focused on our careers right now, and that is hopefully going to allow us to be able to travel more in the future and have more flexibility. So I definitely look forward to traveling. There's lots of places that we would love to see together. Where should I go first? I don't know. Will you do a home tour? That's definitely coming soon. I'm still wanting to like make my living room a little bit better. I've got some pieces on the way, so I'll definitely share those pieces with you. Favorite genre of books? Historical fiction, or as I like to call it, history books. Because honestly, History books are always written by whoever won the war, all those things. I just kind of feel like everything's a perspective in that way. That was probably a little too deep for a YouTube Q&A. 3 people asked, who's your favorite artist? I would say that my current living favorite artist is Cesar Santos. I learned a lot about how to paint portraits from him. I think that I studied art for so many years, but his courses taught me the most and really trained me a lot on how I should think about art from more of a principle standpoint. So definitely him. I find his work really inspiring. He's actually got a YouTube channel, so I'll link his stuff down below in the description. How do you get inspired to create art? I think that I just have a little bit of like an urging to paint. It's something that after a while, if I haven't done it, I end up with nightmares. It's kind of freaky, but it's true. Like, if I'm not having anything that's truly creative, then I don't know, my mind just kind of goes in overdrive. And so to paint is something that's very relaxing for me to do, and something that just kind of gets all my thoughts out on the canvas. So that's why I've always done it. It's always gonna be a hobby of mine. The problem is I just don't have enough time to be able to do it. So I end up doing one bigger painting every like 6 months. So that actually goes into the next question. What do you do more of? Do you paint or create more YouTube content, and which is your favorite? For just the sake of time, I do make a lot more YouTube videos, but I think that they are different enough where I can't really say I like one more than the other. They're just so different from each other. When did you first start painting, and how did you improve your skills? I started art classes when I was in 2nd grade, and then I kept just doing that, and because not a lot of other people were in art at that time, like as heavily as I was, then it just became something that I was that girl that did that thing. And so it was really nice to be able to have something that, you know, was mine, and to be able to have a passion that I felt gave me just a vision in life, something that I could do professionally one day. I actually still don't like make money doing art. In fact, I don't want to make any money on my art. I just want it to be something that I do because it's just something that I've always done. So then I took some like heavier classes in high school and college, and then like I said, Cesar's courses was like the icing on the cake for me. In a way, art is something that led to the career that I chose, which is design. They're very similar, but in a lot of ways they are very different. In art, you get more abstract privileges and more say on what the end result looks like, and creative freedom in that way, unless you're doing something by commission and you need it to look just like something. That's probably why I don't take any money for the art that I do, because I want to keep it sacred in a way. That's something with my day job where someone commissions me to make something look a certain way, and that's just the nature of it. I wouldn't ever just design something for sheer joy anymore. And so I would always paint something just because I have that joy. Okay, I probably should just pick a few more questions because this video is gonna take forever to edit. Poor Zach. Health and fitness, how do you not get hurt trail running, and how to begin trail running? I used to fall all the time. I used to trip. I had a scar on my knee forever, and I face planted. I would say that you train, the more that you do it, to go slowly and just be mindful of trying to make it to the end, because no one can like jump off a treadmill and be done with it. Like, you are on this course until you get out. So that's kind of a challenge and fun. With that, you will become stronger in your legs and in your hip flexors. Just watch your feet the whole time. Like, don't get your feet behind you. And I would say that you just naturally get trained to do that. Okay, some of you guys asked me about what I eat in a day. I don't know if I would say that I eat super healthy. There's a few things that I would love to improve on, but I basically eat no meat except for fish. I do eat fish, I do eat eggs, but aside from that, like, I don't have dairy, and I just do those things for hormonal reasons more than anything else. I also try to have at least one green vegetable a day. Like, I try to hit that goal. I definitely am looking forward to getting better at it, and I'm actually seeing a registered dietitian next week, so I'm really interested to see like what she says to do for my own needs. So yeah, that'll be really cool. And then lastly, what's your favorite skincare supplement? I guess that I actually want to answer this as an actual supplement, like what I ingest to make my skin better, and that is astaxanthin. I've been taking that all year long. and I've noticed a lot of health benefits from it. Not only is it really good for your skin, but it actually helps you protect your skin from sun damage. When I took this, I might have had the tiniest burn, but I didn't get scorched like I used to. I could just tell that I wasn't burning at all, hardly at all. So it was really nice to be able to have that benefit this summer. It's also extremely good for helping you recover your muscles from any sort of workout that you did or injury. Like, it helps you bounce back from those things. Okay guys, that's about it for this video. I hope that I answered your question, and leave a thumbs up and a comment if you would like, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.